Sometimes I wonder who the fuck I am. So I've been looking in the mirror and it still don't make no sense. I'm asking, what am I supposed to do? Done so much in my short lifetime, but I haven't done shit. I done flew around the whole world. First I shook a million hands, then I took a million pictures. But I'm a hostage in my own world. Yeah, my thoughts, my own enemy. Got no time for these bitches. I got too much on my damn mind. So if I add some more stress, I just don't see how I'ma cope. I think they underestimate the grind. I do to bring this dough when I'm only 20 years old. I wonder why I sip this devil juice, cause it feel incredible. Problems, I got several. Thank God that none of that medical. I've been blessed with much to be expected. What am I doing here? I wonder what am I doing here?
Yeah, back at it again. Did you know it was the 10-year anniversary of that?
Of what?
How old of the back? Damn, Daniel, back at it again with the white vans.
Oh, was that on Vine?
I think so.
Or
yeah.
I mean, it might have been Instagram at like the inception of it, but I remember Vine at one time was a huge deal until Instagram was like,
I love Vines.
yeah,
man.
we got that too, and they're longer. I don't know. They were like what, 8 seconds, random as fuck.
It was something like 10 seconds.
10 seconds, yeah, but still, it was all, yeah, it was weird. I enjoyed them though. They were funny as shit. There's one I remember specifically. They have these like ducks, I guess, for dogs that you like, you know, they're soft and they bite them and they make a noise or whatever. And there was someone that found a whole like big ass thing of them at like a Walmart, and they went in and pushed the entire thing down and then let it out. God. And it was the craziest fucking sound that came out. And it was all within, you know, the 10 seconds. And it was no explanation whatsoever. But it sounded like a fucking flock of ducks, I guess. So it was funny.
Yeah, dude. What would be my favorite one?
Well, TikTok now is
kind
of taking over that.
Yeah, TikTok is the new jam. But my favorite one was remember the song like my nigga, my motherfucking nigga. You remember that? I forget who sung it and what the name of the song was, but it would do. There were a bunch of vines created to that song.
Oh yeah.
And one of them was like when you're in college and you see your best friend like across the quad, and then it's like a recognition. It's like, oh my, and then the song starts playing. It's like my nigga, that shit gets me every time.
I know, dude.
And then they did a SpongeBob version to it. Him
of course. Of course. It's not complete until SpongeBob's weighed in.
Right. But yeah, I love Vines, and they were 10 seconds. They were just enough to like pack in one punchline of whatever it was, and then it was done.
I haven't.
Fantastic.
I mean, we've said many a times how we don't use social media very often, but I mean, I've never gotten on TikTok before, so but it sounds like it's just like the second coming of that, you know, like in terms of Vine, like we were talking about.
From what I understand, 100%. It's just a new name.
Yeah.
To something, and I think you said something about maybe it was Instagram that got rid of them or bought them out or whatever, but I don't know why Vine.
I don't know.
Because it seemed like when Vine stopped, it was at the height of its popularity.
Yeah, just like cut off.
And then all of a sudden, gone.
And that's normally when someone buys you, I guess that happens, and then they integrate you into their platform.
To whatever their platform is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I miss that shit so much, man. But yeah, them saying that the damn Daniel videos it's the 10-year. I mean, it legit made me feel so fucking old because I remember
that video was so funny.
Dude, I remember that shit. They got on. They made it to Ellen because of that.
Oh my! Yeah, he did. He did.
They were on Ellen. And
well, like, it was whoever Daniel was, and then the guy that was recording, obviously.
Videotaping it. Yeah. Then they got like something like
weird.
All these free vans and like a whole bunch of shit. I was like a 10
vans for life
compilation of videos.
And you get vans for life because someone happened to find it and like put it on Twitter or Reddit, and then the world found it, and it's just like, how does viral happen? It literally is, dude. It's excuse me. Corona. It's the same exact thing as like a virus spreading, you know, in terms of 100%. Like it goes viral and it just. Man, how did they? That's just it's kind of scary that viral marketing is a thing because people came up with a way to get us to subconsciously buy into things and spread it around without even realizing it.
And
it's
then
like,
the trick of it,
wait, did I sign up for that? Let me go back. It was in the iTunes agreement.
It's so crazy, right? And you know, the whole idea is that they do it like Inception. So you know how
it was my idea.
The key idea behind Inception is being able to plant under that idea inside somebody's brain and making them believe that they came up with the idea themselves. And that's the entire foundation of that viral marketing, is to make it seem like this cool person, whatever, came up with this idea themselves, because even that cool person believes that they came up with that idea themselves, and then have them spread it like wildfire. And the way they're incepting people is a fucking trip, bro. Like, there's some ideas you may be thinking about right now that you think were 100% your own but are not. That is that's wild to think about, man.
It is, yeah. I mean, how did they get in there? It's, and you would never know to think of that because they're already in there, and you think they were just, random thoughts that you had. You're like, damn, I had this idea. I'm smart as fuck.
Yeah, and all the while, some company is like, oh yeah, we got him. Let him go and now spread that message based on us. Yeah, so all of this kind of gets me back to the idea I've spoken about multiple times on this show, which is the idea that ideas are not really your own.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there are any ideas that are originally yours.
Yeah.
And that ideas are like viruses. And it's not these things that we just organically form and procreate. It's these things that are given to us. And so Jordan Peterson said something that I have never forgotten, and I guess this was his way of performing Inception on me, is that people, he goes, people don't have ideas. Ideas have people.
Yeah, Rogan always talks about how they're kind of like living things, ideas.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, in terms of like, I don't know how you define an idea, but are any type of survival instincts, are those ideas, or do those are in a completely separate category? Because what I'm thinking is your brain kind of gives you thoughts without you even fucking knowing it all the goddamn time. And it's like, wait a second, that is me, but it's not me at the same time, because consciously I don't feel myself. Like, I can force myself to pick up my phone, but I'm not forcing myself to breathe right now. It just happens.
Yeah.
My brain just takes care of that in the background. It's like it's the background process on the computer.
Yeah.
Damn, this might be a simulation.
Yeah.
These are my thoughts today. I've been inside for way too long.
Dude, honestly, I'm getting to that point where I'm starting in a free society, in a free world. I'm starting to feel claustrophobic, and that's not good.
Yeah.
When you being able to drive to the store, do this, do X, Y, and you're still feeling claustrophobic, that is bad.
Well, that's mostly because there's the people you see people and you're like, oh fuck, they got it. They got that shit.
Yeah.
It's less that, I mean, because I've been out multiple times in the world since kind of like the lockdown happened for, things we need, food mostly. And it's just like, I don't know, it doesn't feel much different. It's just like, you can't do anything fun anymore, which is, and that's
a toughie.
And that's blowing people up right now. Like it's really having an effect on a lot of people's mental health. So I don't know. It's interesting, like you said, to be in a free society but not feel necessarily free at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fortunately for me, I'm huge into, like, just like you, I'm huge into my yard and trying to cultivate it and make it look
helps.
nice and trying to make my house look nice. So those projects take months.
And they get you outside too, which is great.
Yep. So it's endless. And I love washing my car. I just washed my car again, and it looks like off the lot, brand new.
Are car washes open right now? I was gonna say I don't think that's a. Well, no, I was just curious, like if that's an industry that's
like in general.
Yeah, because I know that's a lot of people's livelihood as well. But I was just curious.
Yeah, so fortunately I'm having that to do, but you're right in terms of like just wanting to go out to dinner with my girl or go to the movies or just meet up with my friends and just have lunch somewhere and just
it wasn't that bad when it was kind of cold, when it was a little cold out, but now that it's starting to get warm, you're like, motherfucker.
You're getting that itch.
I want to be out there. God damn it.
Yeah.
This is when you do shit. Yeah, I know. That's when I used to do shit.
Back at it again.
I mean, it's way calmed down from where it used to be. Yeah. But I'm getting an itch to do anything and everything. I mean, I've been using a chainsaw for fucking 4 weeks, just cutting up logs because it's something to do and I need to do it, but it's also outside. I don't know. It's anything but coronavirus.
I know. This is the last comment I'll make. I think I'm of the mindset where I'm going to take the Sweden approach. Sweden is taking the approach of herd immunity. It's like
just go out and get it if you get it.
Live your life.
I haven't been wearing a mask when I go out because I have a beard, so it doesn't fucking work anyway. I'm like, all right, well, cool. I'll just wash my hands when I get home.
Yeah. And their country's practicing like Sweden, being the primary one, is practicing herd immunity, and I think
I did hear that.
Like they should be an example to like look 100% when a virus runs rampant in humanity in our species, a lot of people are going to die, but then our reaction can't be to run away from it because it'll only make us weaker as a species. So if we want the species to become more resilient, we have to take the herd immunity.
New Mexico just locked down. They just went into shelter in place because they just got it. Yeah, because it's not everywhere. It feels like it's fucking everywhere, because everyone's on the internet and TV. Everything's canceled. Sports, basically, is why it feels like this, I think. It's basically down to sports. But I saw that, weirdly enough, New Mexico just got their lockdown started, and that there is some evidence that, because they thought people with pre-existing conditions or people that smoked were going to be much more likely to get it, and what they found is that maybe there is something in nicotine that's preventing people from getting it. That's a lot because a very low percentage of smokers are actually getting it and having complicated effects from it. And who knows? Maybe the coronavirus gets in there and it's like, God damn it, these lungs already been fucked up. What am I going to do in here? But then I heard of some guy the other day. They said his lungs look like, and he's like a mid-30s, early 40s, something like that. And they said his lungs look like he's been smoking for 50 years. And they had to amputate his right leg. And it was just like, what? This man was completely healthy when he went in there. What the shit? I know, and that's why it's so weird because it's like it's not the same with anyone. Like it's all over the place in terms of how it actually kills people, but also the people that it affects, the people that it affects in terms of severity too. So I don't know, man. I completely agree with and understand the wanting to go out and do things and have society restart, especially not being in that pack of people that is more likely to get it in terms of like older individuals and pre-existing conditions. But at the same time, it's like, God damn, this shit, as soon as you think you nailed it down, then it's like, oh, now all of a sudden other shit is happening with it, or there's a second wave of it, or I don't know. And the nicotine thing was weird to me. I was like, what the fuck? I thought smokers were, I was like, damn, I smoke weed. I'm going to have to stay in and protect my lungs. And I was like, oh, damn. Every time I smoke a blunt, does that help me? Does that help me now? Damn.
That would be way too fortuitous.
What if tomorrow CDC puts it out? They're like, Kush rolled with backwoods will cure corona or prevent it.
Yeah, that would be great. That's the green light everybody needs.
Do not listen to only that part and then turn off this podcast. That is not true information.
Yeah. No, I mean, It's definitely a tricky thing because, like you said, nobody can really nail it down and get any. We can't get any reliable information, and then the fact that we can't even trust our media to give us reliable information it sucks. And then the CDC is in bed. The WHO is in bed with China, and whatever China tells them, hey, don't put this out. You can put this out. They listen to China, so then you can't trust them. And then it also came out through Newsweek. Newsweek, a very credible source. They are not for the proliferation of information to just scare people. And they came out and they said, hey, there is a testing, a virus testing lab, like literally down the street from this market where people caught this. And
wait, did you listen to Tim Pool on Rogan?
I haven't listened to that yet.
He talks all about that, so I'm right up with you.
Yeah.
I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, so and they're not necessarily coming at it from an angle that the purpose was to let this virus loose.
It was an accident.
It could have been an accident.
They said something about the guy, like the bat coughed blood on him or sneezed on him, something like that. And then he went home. They said you need to quarantine yourself. But obviously the man had to leave that place right next to the market and then travel home. And it's like, who did he talk to, touch, interact with on his way? So that was scary to hear for sure. It's just like, God damn it. And it's like, why are people even messing with that shit? I mean, I understand you could help someone, but at the same time, it's weird that we do it in the United States as well. It's like, why do you have viruses under lock and key that are technically weaponized viruses? You're like, we're just doing studies just in case. Just in fucking case. In case somebody releases coronavirus, is that what you're talking about? Is that like mutually assured destruction, kind of like with nukes? Is that why we're doing it? It's like, God damn it. People are just going to meddle and fucking tinker and fucking invent for no goddamn reason forever and ever, and we're all going to die.
Yeah.
I'm very positive today.
No, I think the whole point of that is to acknowledge that saying that the virus, there's no way it could have been out of a weapons lab and it could have been an accident, whatever the case may be, saying that that's outside the realm of the possibility, I think that's unfair to say. What I'm just trying to simply acknowledge is that, hey, it could be such that China accidentally or on purpose release this virus into the world. And if it's an accident, whichever it is, we'll never know because we can't trust anything that comes out.
They're never going to admit that.
They'll never tell us.
Ever.
They'll never tell us.
They'd never say that because, I mean, it would just make them look weak. And you can't have that on the world stage, you know?
Right, and here's the even messed up part. If officials in say organizations like the CDC or the WHO even found out, they would not even tell us because of how much they're in bed with China.
Yep.
So you just can't trust any information. So
you're
just stuck in a spot where it's like, as a regular citizen, what do I do?
There was a press conference with the head of the WHO where they were asking him about Taiwan. And China,
and they wouldn't even mention
it. He wouldn't even recognize Taiwan as a place because China says Taiwan's not a place, right? They say they own it, basically. They claim it. But Taiwan's like, no, we're Taiwan.
Correct.
Fuck off. And the reporter was like, so what about Taiwan? And the head of WHO was like, China's doing a great job at responding. And they're like, no, but Taiwan. And he was like, that's all for today. And it was like, oh, that was real smooth. I see how you did that. It's like you're not going to answer it at all.
It's unfortunate because all we want is, hey, China, if you fucked up, just let us know so we can work on this together, and then we could go back to being mortal enemies afterwards. But like, let's save people. I
did hear that another city. It was also from this Tim Pool. I hope I'm getting that right. It was Tim Pool, right?
That is a name. Tim Pool is a correct name.
I know. Yep, I know. It is a name. Yeah, Tim Pool. That's who it was.
Yeah.
He's an independent reporter, I guess. And he mentioned that there's a city in China that has re-quarantined. Like they thought it was gone, and it's not, and they had to locked down again, and it was just like, wow, God damn it. And it's also like, how much is our government going to tell us as well? Because I mean, what is the benefit of freaking people out that it's going to be even longer than you say it's going to be? No,
Yep.
there's no benefit. Just
Yeah.
defer until someone calls you on your shit finally. So, till someone asks you about Taiwan, basically.
Yeah. I guess it's the same. That's a very good proposition, because even if the U.S. knew for a fact that it was a weapon from China, what good does it do to tell the public that?
Nothing.
Just
really.
It just
doesn't.
It would legit just cause pandemonium.
Yeah.
So the stance of like, hey, it's just it's something that came from animals. It's whatever they're saying now. It's much easier for the public to digest and say, okay, we're going home because this is what happens. It's happened throughout history. Disease happens. It spreads. Blah blah blah. People can compartmentalize that and continue to live their own lives. But if you say this weapon from China made it across the, oh my God,
War.
it would just be anarchy, bro.
Fuck China.
It would be anarchy.
War.
Yeah.
That's what everybody will be yelling.
Oh yeah,
And
for sure,
like,
man.
How do you do a war with China? How's that going to work? We're going to lose.
It won't.
It would have to be a secret war. It would have to be a Cold War, just like the fucking one with Russia back in the day. It would literally have to be like, basically, oh, we hacked you, you hacked us, we hacked you back, you hacked us back. Like that's it. Because if you launch nukes, fucked. Everyone's fucked. Actually, the rest of the world, goddamn, the rest of the world's probably like, fuck China, fuck the U.S. Let them do it, and we'll be fine. There'll be holes. There'll just be big pot marks on the earth, and we'll just be good.
Yeah,
we won't have a lot of shit because China used to make it all, but you know.
Yeah, hey, like, and you know that, but that's where the alliances come in, because other countries are going to have to get involved just because they said, "Oh, we threw our hat in with China. Oh, we threw our hat in with the U.S." And yeah, man, it's crazy to think about the extent of what
there's been more fun times. Other than this in the history of the world, there's been times that have been more fun than this, is what I should have said. Yeah, this is not the most fun time by any means.
No, not at all. And you know, it's when you say, you know, us going over there to fight is not smart. It's the fact that if you can multiply our population by 4,
I know,
and we still wouldn't reach China.
Dude, I wonder what their military size is. Like, I'm sure there's numbers out there, but like I'm sure they're not real either, so I'm not even going to look them up. But they probably got secret soldiers all over, like a whole. I'm going to say, this is super conspiracy theory. I'm going to say there's a whole town in China where everybody seems normal, men, women, and children. And then as soon as they send out the signal, it's just like a siren in the town. People are dropping AK-47s and rocket launchers out of their pocketbooks and fucking out of their pants, pulling them out of trash cans, and just they're ready. They're ready. I'm telling you, there's multiple towns like that.
Bro, I would not be surprised at all.
Right.
And to think that, you know, they have like these, I think we've spoken about this before, how China, and this is a good segue into our topic. We want to talk about whether college is worth it or not, but China has they have these Confucius institutions in various universities throughout America, where they pose it as this is for children, college students, to learn more about Chinese culture, to learn how to speak Chinese, to learn about Chinese sociopolitics. But there's a lot of people who out there who pretty reputable journalists who say these are propaganda institutions that are coming over here to radicalize American students and Chinese born Americans. And nobody, I mean, like, knowing what we know about China, how would you let them come and plant their own operations within our universities? What do you think they're doing?
Dude,
like, that blows my mind.
How is there any way to know? How is there any way to ever know when someone's coming here with bad intentions? Like, that's what it was set up as, you know, the land of opportunity, freedom, you know, you can make your dreams come true. So if we're going to be that, it's so fucking hard to look at every person that comes in and be like, oh, fuck, I don't know. Like, your backstory, you could easily cover something up or make up something from another country and, you know, pass it off as real, as long as you have a couple people to verify, you know, that are paid off. So it's, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you would even do against that. But yeah, you're right. They're coming. I was just reading the other day how it was in Sweden. It was in somewhere like that where there's a lot of tall, blonde, blue-eyed people. But Kim Jong-un, he was secretly educated under a false name when he was a kid in one of those countries. Like, for years.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just like, holy shit. Like, who would have known? Like, classmates of his never would have known that little Tim was about to become Kim Jong-un and be crazy as shit, but still love the Chicago Bulls. That's probably where he got it, because he got that culture from being somewhere else. He didn't always grow up in North Korea. And it's just like a lot of stuff's come out because people thought he was dead recently. So it's just dude, when I saw that, I was like, oh, I'm researching the fuck out of this. Because they put out the most false propaganda shit. One day they were like, yeah, he just sent a letter yesterday, so he's got to be alive. It's like, what? That's not proof. That's not proof whatsoever. He sent a letter? You can write that shit for anybody. But then apparently he's alive. So
yeah. I mean, I think if there was
getting educated in other countries is interesting. How you can kind of go there and use their information against them eventually. Not just the United States, but obviously that probably happens quite a bit here.
Yeah, no, I'm currently reading this book called A Gentleman in Moscow, and one of the current plots that's developing is one of the senior officials in what they call the party, the communist regime that took over Moscow back in the day, and he. And the idea is that they're becoming this superpower, and they want to make friends with the Americans and the French, and one of his tactics is he gets this gentleman who's well educated. He's like, I need you to teach me the customs and the goings abouts and the ideas and the beliefs of these aristocrats in these other countries, because I need to know what my enemy thinks, so that way I can, you know what I mean? Because I can use it against them, right? Because if I know you well enough to know your thinks and what you're thinking and your leanings, I can then predict what kind of actions you're going to take in certain situations.
Exactly.
So that is a plot that people use. It's like, I don't want to just teach you in North Korea, like, because North Korea, they have the people at the top, they have access to everything they need to give somebody a good education. But in order to learn how those other people think, you have to supplant them in their own culture, and then you could go back with hard evidence of like, no, I've lived with these people. I can understand their way of thinking. So in order to manipulate and do whatever I want, I have a leg up. Yeah.
And I mean, what I was reading, they, at least with Kim Jong, they did it a lot to kind of hide him as well, because, people wanted to kill the son of the most ruthless dictator there was as well. So it was just like, that's why he was under a false name, obviously. But it's interesting that those things happen when people do get educated in foreign countries and they're in positions of power in their home country. So, and what we were just talking about just before we move on to the college thing, it's very interesting to me that there's actually only 5 states not in lockdown right now. And that is North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, and Arkansas.
Which makes sense.
They're all right smack in the middle. And then Oklahoma, Wyoming, and Utah have parts of the state closed. The rest of the country is actually under shutdown. And it was just like, holy shit, I had no idea. I actually thought it was less than that. But it progressed from March 23rd to March 30th, like across the entire country. So.
Yeah, and I was actually listening. I was watching Real Time with Bill Maher, and he had this journalist on who was basically making the case that, and I wish I could remember the guy's name so I could give him credit, but he was making the case that we shouldn't see what's happening in New York and then make rules and regulations based upon that, because you have New York is such outlier when it comes to how a lot of people live in America. Like what happens in New York should not dictate what you do in Texas, because New York people are stacked on top of each other. Not many people drive. Everybody is taking public transportation.
Easily a case by case basis. But how do you feel about mayors within cities of states? Does the governor have complete right, or what if the governor doesn't know how to run, that specific city or town within the state?
Man,
because I know that's people have been having that issue in different states. I've just seen in passing, kind of like mayors and governors kind of disputing, just kind of like Trump and governors, but he has no claim, so it's interesting.
I think so. That's a good question. I would say,
I don't know.
After not thinking about this much, just my first instinct would be, on a federal level, again, me, I'm big on federal. Get the fuck out of the states. You do your thing in D.C. Don't worry about it. But whatever the states decide, the mayor and the governor need to be on the same page. So whatever disagreements they have.
Bad. That's why I think Michigan's going through their protests right now. People are in the Capitol with guns, like with assault rifles. There was a picture of 4 guys. Oh no, it was like 6 guys standing literally outside the door of the governor with assault rifles.
Wow.
The door. They were inside the building already, like outside of his actual office.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, oh, all right. They're doing this in Michigan right now.
How did you make it that far? That's insane to me.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not going over well in many places, but Michigan looks like the one where,
it's getting the worst. But you see, I think that's a result of people not being on the same page. I don't know what what's going on in Michigan, whether the mayor and the governor disagree, but I feel like if the mayor and the governor disagree in a state, that would be even more cause for people to say, what the fuck is going on here? But when you have consistency in leadership, people are more inclined to listen. But when you say, oh, y'all can't even figure this shit out, why should I listen to either of you motherfuckers, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a cause for more. If you want people to listen and stay at home, whatever decision you make, you got to be on the same page. And if you want people to go back to work, let them go back to work. But again, make it a consistent message.
Yeah, Michigan's deaths rise by 232 in one day to over 4,000 amid protests over lockdown. And it says Michigan has a 3.5% higher than the national fatality rate. Like they're higher. So basically people are pissed that they're in lockdown, but they have every reason to be in lockdown right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's wild. But this one last thing. I did find that now these French researchers are going to test nicotine patches on coronavirus patients and frontline health workers after a study suggested smokers may be much less at risk of contracting the virus. A study by a major Paris hospital suggests a substance in tobacco, possibly nicotine, may be stopping the patients who smoke from catching COVID-19. So I guess basically there's patients in hospitals who are still smoking, and they're in there for other reasons, and other patients all around them are catching it, but they're not.
Oh,
and it's like, whoa, what the fuck? So yeah, I guess there's going to be a bunch of tests on nicotine patches to see if that helps at all in terms of prevention, I guess. So your healthcare workers are going to get a little buzz while they're working. Just as prevention.
But you see, this story right here, for me, it phrased the trust I have for the people I'm supposed to trust the most even further. Because in the initial, like the people like the CDC, the WHO, and the heads of research departments who are responsible for being in the front of the line and answering questions when crises like this happen. Because when this first started, I mean, everything was like, hey, if you're a smoker, it's pretty much a given. You're dead.
I know. That was the weird dude. I was super scared at the start. I was like, what the fuck?
You know what I mean? Now cut to a month later. Hey, if you're a smoker, you're almost a guarantee.
At the same time,
it's interesting how this
smoking normally makes everything worse, especially in terms of being sick. Like it makes it prolonged, and who knows? Once you have it, I'm sure it's not good to smoke. But prevention, it's like, oh shit. Well, we had no idea the nicotine had such benefits to it. It causes cancer too, but you won't get coronavirus. So there's that.
Yeah, my hope is that they're not seeing a couple of cases where something looks promising and then immediately jumping to these conclusions and putting this shit out there. Because, dude, think about how many people who had either quit smoking or don't smoke are going to read that article and start smoking again or begin smoking. And if they don't, research like this, for the most part, takes years. So for me to think that they have found something in the span of a couple of months, I'm like, there's almost no way. But yet they're just throwing this information out there. It feels like so flippantly, where you're going to change people, whatever you say, people are going to take that shit as gospel. So you have to be extremely careful about the type of information you're putting out there. And just to say, true. This looks promising, it's like, what does that even mean? Like, when I jump off a cliff, it looks promising that I'm going to fly for a matter of like 5.5 seconds, but it's what happens after that 5.5 seconds that matters most. I'm going to hit the fucking ground.
Yeah. No.
Right. So
It's wild. It is wild.
Yeah. I just hope, like, hey man, if smoking helps or something, they find something that could be promising to help people with this, great, I'm all for that. But I'm just concerned at how much information that putting out that conflicts with each other and how rapidly they're doing it. It seems like every other day there's like, if you have this, turns out, oh, now if you're old, Corona will kill you a week later. If you're young, Corona will kill you. If you smoke, Corona will kill you. A week later, if you don't smoke, Corona won't kill you. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, it just every week it's just something new. And I think
I'd rather hear we don't know. But
that's it.
Yeah. Just be careful. Like I don't want to hear a bunch. That's the problem. There's too many voices. You know?
Too fucking many, and we have access to every single one of them. And isn't this crazy how right now, if you want to believe that coronavirus is nothing, you can cultivate your entire bubble in a way that all the information you're getting is like coronavirus ain't shit. Go out there, party, have fun, blah blah. But if you want to believe coronavirus is the end of the world, you can cultivate your entire information sphere the same way to where everything is like, oh, you're gonna die. That shit to me is very concerning, man. That we don't have one trustworthy source that no matter what you believe in, you can turn to and say Republican, Democrat, Independent, Black, White, gay, straight. No, we can look at them and say we can trust the information that comes out of their mouth. The fact that we no longer have that, man, it's going to make things like this, it's just going to get worse. Yeah. It's going to get worse. So, all right. I know we tried to not talk about Corona, but after an hour of talking about coronavirus.
Yeah. Everything revolves around it right now. It's okay.
Yeah. It's just, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? But, so yeah, one thing I wanted to talk about, I'm sitting here and I'm sure you've thought about this as well, where our careers have taken us. We have this piece of paper that we went to school for 4 to 6 years, depending. I took the scenic route, and that we were told, we were led to believe that with this piece of paper, every single door in the world will open for you. Now, I constantly float back and forth between whether my degree mattered or not. And I guess I wanted to hash that out. Like, is getting a college degree worth it?
Worth it in what way? I guess that's just a very open-ended question. Because you could say that it's worth it in the way that people that have degrees tend to make more than people without degrees. Mm-hmm. But in the way of debt, student loan debt, and everything you go through with paying that back, I would 100% say my opinion is no. But in terms of does it help you earn more money? Yes, it does. It's statistically proven that a 4-year degree, you will earn on average higher than someone with just a high school diploma. At least right now. I don't know what the difference is between other degrees, but I don't think so with the student loan debt. No, because it's basically like your first couple years right out of school, you have insane pressure on you in order to, because I don't remember what the thing was, but it's like right after it's like 60 days after your graduation day, you start paying. 90 days, something like that. You're like right after you're out, you start paying for those student loans. And most of the people that get out aren't going to get a job. Okay, let me not say that, but a lot of people are not going to get a job right off the bat, especially when they came out of college, like during kind of the time between when I came out and you came out, and jobs weren't plentiful, or sometime like right now when jobs aren't necessarily plentiful. I mean, you're not necessarily going to get a job that's going to even have you being able to make the minimum payment on those loans, right away at least. So deferment and then adding interest on, and I mean, some people are wrapped up in student loans for like 20, 30 years after they graduate college. And I mean, luck has a lot to do with whether you're able to pay those back as well, just in terms of, the job you end up getting. But personally, no, I don't think it's worth it to do it the way I did, at least. In other terms, yeah, I'm sitting on the fence, I guess, for the definition of worth it.
Yeah, I guess I fall somewhere in the same category because I know how much college did for me in terms of like opening up my mind to certain things.
Not worth what you paid, though. but for sure.
Not even a little bit, bro.
Yep, I agree.
Because in the past 3 years of listening to podcasts, I feel like I've gotten those 3 years of education I've gotten via podcasts. I've like gotten a master's degree.
Well, and you were so much more in tune to what they were saying and listening and paying attention because you wanted to learn it. It wasn't being forced on you because that's what you're supposed to do after high school, you know?
Yeah. And so, all right. So, but on the flip side, it's like to the first point you made, college graduates do make more money. So the average college graduate makes $570,000 more than the average high school graduate
and how long?
Over a lifetime.
Oh, a lifetime.
Yeah.
500 grand more?
570 grand more.
That's not over that a lifetime. Much.
In a lifetime, it's not.
That's not that much.
No. So let's see.
What is a
here.
lifetime? What do they have a number of years that is? Is it
let me get that for 50
you. 50 years after graduation? 60?
Let's see. Shit, it doesn't say.
Because I guess at least the thing I found has like it only has weekly median salaries for those two people, but that doesn't seem like a lot in terms of the difference. 500 grand.
Yeah. So all right. So let's put it in other numbers like this. Career earnings for college graduates are 71% to 136% higher than those of high school graduates.
Wow.
The Federal Reserve Bank of New York calculated a 14% rate of return on a bachelor's degree, which constitutes a good investment. College graduates earn an average of $78,000, a 75% wage premium over the average $45,000 annual earnings for workers with only a high school diploma. 85% of Forbes' America's 400 richest people list were college grads.
Yeah, so maybe it's seeing the forest for the trees type thing. Or no, sorry, seeing the trees. I don't know the saying. Seeing the forest for the trees. That missing the rest of the big picture for what's right in front of you, and maybe that's what we both have still because we're not too far removed from graduating college, but at the same time, we have no idea what our path would have been without that college degree because we didn't go that route. So it's interesting to say that because as all the statistics you listed right there is worth it. And every article I've looked up, there's a Forbes one that's like, please stop asking whether college is worth it. It's like, fuck you, Forbes. I don't believe you. I'm going somewhere else to write about it.
And what did they say? They're basically saying stop asking because it is?
Yeah, because it is. Yeah, because it says the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post all ran pieces this year asking whether college was worth it. And yes, they all came to the same conclusion. Yes, it is. Yeah.
But in what way? Because, all right, so let's, like you said, now we talked about the fact that college graduates make this for the 570,000 more over a lifetime than non-college graduates. But then, let's look at the flip side of that. Student loan debt is crippling for most college graduates. So here it says about 44 million Americans owe more than 1.5 trillion in student debt. 45% of
That's
people
a huge
with
number.
student loan debt.
Can't even picture that.
It's astronomical. And it goes on to say 45% of people with student loan debt say college was not worth it. 10% of students graduate with over 40,000 in debt, and about 1% have 100,000 in debt. In February 2018, undergraduate college graduates had an average of 37,172 in loan debt. According to the U.S. Congress Joint Economic Committee, approximately 60% of college graduates have student loan debt balances equal to 60% of their annual income.
Wow. I mean, so we're wrong. So you're saying we're wrong.
So then it goes the other side of it, right?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I don't know.
It's like, okay.
It's hard to,
So it's like, okay, so you make $570K more than your comparative high school graduate. But that $570K more is almost assuredly all going to student loans.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I found a statistic that was very weird. I don't get this. This is a .edu site actually. Oh, it's University of Potomac. I don't know where that is, but they're a college or university.
I have no idea where that is either.
In 2015, college graduates earned 56% more than high school graduates, the largest difference to date. So it might just be going up, down. It's different every year. But this is the weird one. Women with a college degree have an 80% chance of their first marriage lasting at least 20 years.
What?
So the smarter the more educated, not the smarter, but the more educated you are, the longer your first marriage will last, women.
Huh.
I didn't mean to call you women if you're listening. Yeah, it's weird, right?
I'd have to guess because what are one of the primary factors in why people get divorced? It's money, right?
Oh yeah.
So I would think that if both people if you have a college degree and you are potentially earning that much more money, it takes financial insecurity off of the table. So if you don't not all the time 100%, but for the most part it does. So if you have that taken off the table, then there goes one huge chunk of why people get divorced taken off the table. So at a first glance, I know I'm probably wrong, but at first glance, that's what it seems like to me.
This one is way worse. 40% of college students drop out before graduating after they've already accumulated debt.
Damn.
That's rough. And then you're stuck with no degree and no job to pay it back with and debt.
Holy
that's an awful situation, especially if you do like 2 years, 3 years.
Yes.
Say 4 years without a degree, and it's like, oh god damn it.
Bruh, that is such a great statistic because in all my research, in every way I've ever thought about college and whether it's worth it and debt and so on and so forth, I've only thought about those who have gone to college and completed it and those who never went to college at all. And I had completely never even considered the fact that there is a huge population of people who start college and
they don't finish
never finish. And here's even the messed up part. A lot of them, it's not due to their own, like, oh, I don't feel like going to college anymore.
Yeah, of course.
Some people, do you run into like, okay, one of your parents dies, and now you have to go home and start working and be the breadwinner to provide for your siblings, for the parent that's left who may not be able to work. So there are these extenuating circumstances that people may not even leave college just for being assholes.
Yeah, well, so the price of the education, so the average tuition, not including room and board at public schools, costs $9,270 to $29,680. Those are kind of that range of it. $9,000 at public school, $29,000 at private. Sorry.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like at a private university. So, and then it says, consider that the average yearly wages of a high school only graduate were only $30,500 in 2015. Higher education can often just be out of the budget for a lot of would-be students. And then you have the ones that start thinking they can afford it, and then it's just like, oh, shit, my loan didn't get approved this semester. Because a lot of those loans require you to keep a certain GPA or whatever in order to keep up, getting that grant money or loan money or whatever it is. So it's, dude, I do not miss that time in my life where I had to figure out tuition every fucking year.
Bro.
My God, that was the worst. Having to go to that office and sit down, and they're like, oh, sorry, your loans didn't come through. I'm like, how do I check on that? I don't know how to do that. Like, fuck me. Am I in the classes or not? They're like, not yet. And not until that money comes through. And I'm like, shit.
Yeah, dude. And it's so just a little bit of historical context. It's the reason colleges were able to raise the price of college admission so much without having to worry if people will be able to afford it is because the government stepped in. If the government had stayed out of it, bro, the colleges would have done a simple economic equation and said, if we keep raising tuition at 100 times the rate of inflation, we're not going to be able to sustain ourselves. But the government stepped in and said, "What? It doesn't matter how much it costs. I'll pay you for it. And then they can worry about it once they're out of college. So college just said, so you're telling me no matter what I charge federal government, you'll pay it on their behalf, and then they're on the hook for it later?
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, okay.
I'm good with that.
I'm Gucci with that. So they just said more and more and more, and the government was like, yup. They never stopped. So the institutions were like, this is free money. I don't have to worry about whether this individual themselves can pay it, because even if they can't pay it afterwards, I've already gotten the money from the government.
Yeah.
Now the college steps out of it, and they say, okay, student, government. Right. The universities then step and they say, student, government, I have the money. You guys figure it out. So the government is left coming after you for the money, and the university is just like, all right, I'm just going to keep this scheme going indefinitely.
Yeah. It's been going on for a long time now.
It's sickening. And again, I know that the government is useful in certain places, but man, the subsidizing of things, I think it's something that it happens for a good cause in the beginning, and then people learn how to game it, and it gets out of hand.
Oh, yeah.
But the government never stops to reconsider. That's the part that frustrates me so much. It's like, okay, now that you know people are literally criminally robbing you, why won't you stop it?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Does not make sense.
Oh, okay. All right. So moving on to whether college is worth it. So another point. So jobs, so you could make the argument that college is worth it because now jobs are increasingly requiring college degrees. Right? So only 34% of American jobs require a high school diploma or less in 2017, compared to 72% in the 1970s. During the recession between December 2007 and January 2010, jobs requiring college degrees grew by 187,000, while jobs requiring some college or an associate's degree fell by 1.75
What jobs require some college? Hey, as long as you tried, we're hiring for people that tried and then it didn't work. So come here.
I think for
we know you need money for your student loans.
I think when they're saying some college, they're meaning associate's degree. I think they mean some. I think associate's degree kind of technically falls under that some college category.
Yeah. I think I found the same the procon.org thing that you found.
Yep.
But the third con is the one that I was going to bring up already, is that a lot of people in the industry that we started in, like where we met at CDW, I knew multiple people in there that did not have college degrees.
Yep.
I mean, it's
Did Phil Wargo have a college degree?
No, he did not.
Wasn't he making like $500,000 a year?
He started when he was like 20 at CDW.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well, like Christian, he didn't have a college degree. He was 22 or something when he started at CDW. It was wild. Maybe
he
21.
He was making like 100 by the time he left.
Yeah, he works at Dell now. He's like 25. Yeah. I don't know. He's still young.
Makes a killing, bro.
Yeah.
He makes a killing.
And it says on there that was as many as 17 million college graduates work in positions that did not require a college education. 1 in 3 college graduates had a job that required a high school diploma or less in 2012. Like and that's, dude, I know I'm not going to say names, but I know people with history degrees. And it's like, damn,
what are you doing?
What you going to do with that? Like,
what museum?
Yeah, I mean that's your, or teacher. That's kind of one of your options. Or maybe Indiana Jones. You could be him. You could be an archaeologist somehow. But it's like there's so many people with. That's literally how I decided on my degree of communications, because I tried multiple different things and I was like, all of these are too specific, and I don't want that. I want something that can be applied broadly, and that's where it came in. And it's just, I don't think people think that when they're in college, because there's a lot of, as you said, finding yourself, learning how to think for yourself, learning how to take care of yourself, really, just being away from home in terms of that. But it's, I mean, it's, I don't know. I don't know how people get those degrees and think it's a good idea. Well, I do, because college kids can be stupid as fuck. You're not your brain's not fully
100%.
developed till what, 25, and you're definitely out of college by then, mostly. And it's, you don't understand why they're in debt for a degree they can't use. That's got to be the worst. Yep. That's the worst.
Yeah.
So drop it. No, I don't know. Maybe going like 3 years and dropping out and not having a degree and still having a ton of debt. Like I just saw, I guess Potomac University, where I got that info, is in DC. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so it has like cost of tuition in DC. It's the cheapest college or university in DC, but Georgetown's $50,000 a year. This came out in 2015. $50,000.
Yeah, dude.
So that's
Georgetown is no joke.
That's $200,000 when you get out. Say bye-bye to your first 2 years of your salary, if you can get that salary out as a 22-year-old with no experience whatsoever. You're not going to. So say bye to your first 4 years of salary, I guess. I mean, that's not how it works, obviously, but it's wild that can happen. Like, if you go to institutions like that, or University of Richmond, something that's around here, is super expensive. I think it's over 40 something now. It might be close to 50. And it's like, how do you get at, and they have a law school as well. So say you go for 6 years, say you go for 8 years, and you get a master's or your PhD or what have you, however long that takes. When you get out, you are eating ramen for the rest of your fucking life. You might be defending people, and you might be performing surgery on people, or whatever. But you're going to be paying that school back forever.
Yeah, literally the rest of your life. And I think one thing we don't do a good job of is being real with young people.
Oh yeah, as a high school student, you don't know that.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
We have a hard time.
My kid will, for sure.
Oh my God, we have a hard time with telling kids not everybody can be anything.
Yeah, that's so untrue.
You need to figure out where on the intelligence ladder you rank, and plan accordingly.
Oh my God! Bro. Yeah, no, you definitely can't. I don't like that when people tell their kids that you can't be anything. That's not true. That's not true.
Hey, if you are born and at the age of like 10 you're doing complicated calculus equations, you can be anything.
No. You could be like a mathematician or a rocket scientist, probably, or astronaut.
I was making that example.
Yeah, yes, I get what you're saying. Yes, they can go on to become great things, but anything,
you have more of a chance.
Yeah.
You have more of a chance of hitting that anything mark. Like,
sure.
you have a larger scope of things you could touch, which you'll probably be very good at, right?
Yeah.
But if in the 7th grade you're reading at a 4th grade level, hey, you know what?
Hey,
maybe
take your time.
Start looking at
take your time. It's long life. Take your time. Sound it out. Sound it out.
You know what I'm saying? Let's start looking at maybe becoming a mechanic, right? Maybe a gym teacher.
Yeah, there you go. There's nothing wrong with it. You just gotta know. You gotta know.
You just gotta dive in. You gotta know from the beginning.
But if I'm a parent of a dumb kid, that's not. You're not gonna accept that. You're not gonna accept that. You're gonna just. It's like when you just push them till they're good at it. Like, is that how it works? I don't know. I don't have a kid. Do they break? Do they break ever? 100%. But like, they break in a good way, like over to the I'm intelligent now side.
I don't think that's how it works.
Damn it! I want that to be how it works so badly, but I'll find out. I guess eventually.
Yeah. So for me, I think I'm gonna I know I'm not bright. Unfortunately, my dad was very bright. Fortunately for me, my dad was like a genius level of intelligence, and so like what I hope is that the intelligence that my dad had,
trickle down intelligence.
But since those genes are within me, hopefully
recessive intelligence. You gotta unleash it. You're like, I know it's in there. Yeah, the bad thing is if you have a kid and your kid's like smarter than you, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, trying to knock it loose. Like, God damn it. The capsule never broke open. Like, the medicine never came out. Like, it's just like, damn it. Why am I stupid and my kid's smart? Makes no sense. And I'm sure that happens all the time, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. So what I'm hoping is that whatever that thing that my dad has, that gene gets unlocked in my kid.
Recessive
because I know I don't have it.
That's the title of this episode.
you gotta. I think, man. As the older I've gotten, I kind of understand the whole idea behind telling a kid that they can be whatever they want to be. Like in theory, it sounds great, but in reality, I think it's
you don't want to close off anything in terms of, you want their mind to be as open as possible, I guess. So telling them that is like, oh, you can be anything. So make sure you look at all the options that are available to you. To you, not to everyone, to you. Yes, like
look at your life.
Oh man, we're gonna start from a young age, and when I have a kid, and if he or she, we're gonna see how athletic they are, and we're gonna say, okay, do you have the capability of being a pro? Do you? Yeah. Do you want to be one? And if they want to, you work on it or whatever. But then you get along down the line, and you're like, we're gonna stick to like rec ball and stuff like that. We're gonna stick to the stuff where you play with your friends. It's fun.
Yep.
That's where you belong. You can become an accountant or whatever you want.
And
in that realm.
You know that fairly early.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Tiger Woods was hitting golf balls at 2 on television straight. And it was just like, oh, fuck, this kid's going to be real good.
That's the one. Yeah. Those are the ones that you cultivate. When LeBron was like 8 years old, he was playing like against varsity kids.
How do you get your kid to speak early? How does that happen? Is that like you got to teach them early? Or like, I feel like there's certain kids that just like develop speech way earlier than others. And isn't that a sign of like high intelligence? Obviously, the sooner you speak, I would think that's higher intelligence, but I feel like there's something with baby, like really intelligent prodigy kids. That's something with like speaking early, recognizing like shapes and colors and all that very, very early music.
So general intelligence.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like but it's weird in a you're just like, the fuck?
Oh, that's a baby.
Did somebody implant you with something?
Hey, baby.
Like, is there an alien? Yeah, hey baby, what the fuck are you doing up? Selling weed. Oh, dude. I just started watching Atlanta over again just to do it. And it's so much. It's just still funny as shit. Yeah, it's so good.
Matter of fact, me and my girl are looking for a new show. I think that's going to be the one.
Well,
that's such a good show.
You've seen it, right? There's only 2 seasons of it.
Oh yeah. But I think the 3rd season is coming out either
soon.
It's either this year or the next.
Yeah,
but
it's probably delayed or whatever because of this, but. I didn't mean to get off topic, but I just thought of funny stuff, and that came up in my head for some reason. So
it's an absolutely fantastic show, and but getting back to the topic, I know. Obviously we don't have kids, so our perceptions are the way we think about things is obviously going to change drastically when we do have kids. But I'm going to hope I strive to be realistic with my kid. Like, I'm 5'6". I'm not going to tell my kid, hey, let's focus on that basketball career. It's like, all right, nah, dude. Look, I want you to play basketball. If basketball is what you love, if football, whatever, if that's what you love, work your ass off at it. Try to become the best you can be at it. But I'm really going to make my kid a student athlete. It's like, you want to practice for 3 hours in the gym, you got to finish your homework.
You never know. You might have a recessive height gene, too. You never know.
I mean, most of the people in my family are tall. So if that happens, then great. We'll pursue that basketball career. But still, at the end of the day, it's going to be, work on this thing between your ears first. Because if you fuck up at whatever else it is, if you have intelligence to fall back on, you'll be okay.
Yeah, for sure.
But this whole idea of saying Chase being a football
your body
player,
runs out a lot quicker than your brain does in terms of how many years you have. So
yes.
I'm 32, so as a pro athlete, I would be considered ancient at this point.
Old,
and football almost non-existent unless you're a quarterback that doesn't get hit a lot or a kicker.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, this is you gotta focus on the thing that lasts longer, obviously. But yeah, who knows? Hopefully, we have prodigies in one way or another.
That'd be great.
Recessive intelligence and height genes in both of us. Hopefully, that comes out. Tall, we're gonna have tall, smart kids.
Look, that is a killer combination.
Yeah, right.
Those motherfuckers are the type of people that take over the world. But going back to the
student loans, college worth it? Is college worth it?
Yes. But going back specifically to one of the quotes you read, I thought it was also interesting what they listed here. Is it says more than 16,000 parking lot attendants, 83,000 bus bartenders, 115,000 janitors, and 15% of taxi drivers have a bachelor's degree.
Huh?
Yup.
Well, you got to switch that to Uber drivers now, but yeah, I would.
Yup.
I didn't know that at all. Wow.
College graduates with jobs that do not require college degrees earn 30 to 40%.
Cab drivers are out here just being intelligent.
They earn 30 to 40% less per week than those who work in jobs requiring college degrees. Man, dude. That statistic, there are 115,000 janitors with bachelor's degrees.
What? I guess these are all jobs that are easy to come by and not a lot of backstory is required to get them. It's weird that people would go into those easier professions just because, I don't know. There's no reasoning, obviously. They don't know why people do it, but they have the numbers of people doing it, so.
Right. And I think what goes in tandem with college that also is not spoken about enough to students when they're entering college is that, okay, so if you're going to go to college, you need to get good grades, you need to work hard, you need to study. But the other crucial piece that you must have with your college degree is connections. That's the one part that gets left out in a lot of conversations, especially with foreign parents. Like, I know my parents, they were just like, work hard, get the good grades. They never stressed
about networking, about who you know, basically.
Yes. So people they bust their ass in college, and then they don't spend any time at all getting to know people, rubbing hands, shaking whatever. And then they get out, and then the person who they know is a worse student than them, the person that was a worse student with them but spent time chatting with the teacher before and after class and blah, blah, blah.
Bullshit conversations matter quite a bit.
Oh, they matter so much, man. They matter so fucking much. Yeah. So I think that's a little crucial part that gets missed with the whole you should go to college idea.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, people don't like change. They like repetition. And if your parent did it, you're likely to do it, I feel like, in terms of like education choices, I guess. But it's just, I don't know. It's weird that as a society, I mean, it's not weird because, everyone wants to learn more. Higher education is good, but it's at what cost? A huge one, a fucking huge one. And it's crazy. I mean, I did 5 years myself, and that's 5 years of loans, and it took me. I mean, I got lucky with my sales job and getting a commission, but there's many people that don't go into sales after college. They just go into this is the salary you're making, so they have to decide. All right, well, this goes to food, and the rest goes to student loans, I guess.
Yep.
I mean, it's not a situation anyone wants to be in, not being able to make those payments and just seeing it tick up.
Yep. Yeah.
So yes and no. That's my answer for the whole question overall. Yes, it is, and no, it's not.
Because I ask myself, I'm sure there are people like us who start out like this and have kids and then change. Like, what would have to change in your mind? Because right now, as I stand, I'm like, I would never pressure my kid into going into college. I'd just, whatever your passion is, let's try to chase that. I wonder what happens for parents where they get to a point where they're like, no, you have to go to college. I wonder what transpires for parents who start out that way and then end up the other.
Yeah.
What would it take to change your mind on that?
I don't know. I don't think I mean, I wouldn't pressure a kid to go to college. I would just make sure that the child had as much information as possible on, if you want to go, this is the grueling process it takes to figure out where you're going to go. And, each school wants to see something different that you have to provide. And then the choice that you make that choice will be a decision that not will haunt you the rest of your life, but it could haunt you the rest of your life. Like you might end up choosing the wrong school or the place that's too expensive and put you in debt or, for whatever reason. So I think really just saying, hey, this is what I would have done if I had all the information at the start, and making sure that they can make an educated decision. That's really all you can do. And also, I mean, to tell you the truth, I think I would go the route of saying student loans can be good for you because of the struggle that it provides. I mean, yeah, nobody wants one more bill, but that's what, knowing that you have to go into kind of crippling debt in order to get a good education so you can have a better life later on in terms of like the long-term goal, then, I mean, that's, I can't say that I wouldn't tell my kid, okay, yeah, you got to do student loans if you choose this school or whatever. I mean, that's what my dad did. I mean, he was just like, yeah, you're paying for it. It's your education. And it's like, oh yeah, it is my education.
That makes sense.
You're right. I should pay for it. Yeah. So it's like, yeah. So
like
it's
been around the block a couple
times.
times.
And I think I would do the same thing. I mean, I think a lot of parents get in that nervous situation of, how am I going to afford college? Well, you're not going.
Yeah.
You're not going to college. They are. Your kid's going. I mean, you can provide whatever you can for them, maybe a place to live while they go to college. So there's a lot less money for, staying in the dorms and those type of things. But books are expensive as fuck. They're always going to be expensive. The classes are always going to be way more expensive than you think they're going to be. I think I told this once on here, but I had a professor who taught Hindu. I was trying to minor in religion, and he came into class, and he was one of like 5, maybe 3 people in the world that can read and write Sanskrit, the oldest language that there is. And he gives speeches at the Smithsonian in DC, and he teaches at Christopher Newport University in Newport News. And he's he's a religious teacher. His name is Professor Swag, which is interesting.
I love it.
And
I love it.
First time I saw him, he came in drinking a bottle of, or a container of almond milk, and I had no idea what it was back then. I was like, what the fuck is he drinking? And then he freaked out at the wireless Wi-Fi thing on the ceiling. Like, he was scared of it. And then he told us, he was like, man, you guys, normally I give this speech at the opening of whatever at the Smithsonian, and those tickets are really expensive. You guys are getting a discount. And somebody in the class was like, no, we're not. This class was expensive as shit. And he was like, oh, you're right. And he just started laughing about it. It was like, yeah, we pay way more than like $300 a ticket or whatever. For those people are going to fundraisers and paying. It's like, that class was like $4,000 just to sign up for or something or whatever. Yeah, I mean, $2,000, whatever. I don't know what class costs anymore, but it was just.
But the idea that it's above $1,000.
Exactly. And it's just like, oh my God, that's actually, he didn't even think about it at the time. But yeah, we pay a shit ton just to hear you talk every day. So maybe he took it a little more serious that day. I like to think. Yeah. But I only went to like 2-3 classes the whole semester. So he was a guy that, dude, he let you pick your own grade at the end. You turn in one paper, and he calls you into his office, and he weighs it in his hand. He's like, what do you think you got on this? And you're like, B? And he's like, yeah, you got a B. Sure.
What?
The whole class lined up outside of his office, and you walk in one at a time on the last day of class, and that's the whole class. You're graded on that one grade. I said C+, because that went with my fucking average of what I was already had. And I only went to 3 fucking classes. He didn't even know who I was. So it's just and I'm pretty sure I turned in a paper that wasn't mine. So it was like, it was like, I'll take a C. A C+ is a win right there. So, but it's just like, you're paying crazy amounts for these classes, and I'm not going to force that on my child or anyone in terms of advice I give to someone. So I think it's just, you can only make sure people have the information about, what is going on at that time with student loans and cost of education and things like that. So, I mean, who knows? By the time a child that we would have is in college, there might be, it might be free by then. Who knows? It might be that someone's in office that's completely gotten rid of student loan debt and, forgiven all of it. Who knows? Or it might go up. It might be crazy to go to a university after coronavirus. Like, it might cost so much money. Yeah. Who knows? But it's a complicated issue with not one answer, I think.
Yeah, I'm of the same mindset. It would be very hard to, knowing what I know, force my kid to go to school. But then on the other hand, you're right. Again, you pose another perspective that I hadn't really thought of if the hardest thing you have to deal with in your life is student loan debt, right?
That's pretty good.
You know what I mean?
Pretty good.
If it's like, if you gotta get straddled with debt, and it forces you to come up with a plan, it forces you to think about how you're spending your money, it forces you to to learn how to budget, how to stretch a dollar.
Yeah.
If that's how you learn that lesson, then how can I say that college debt was bad for you?
Yeah.
Because, like you said, the people are out here grinding, trying to figure out new ways to innovate this and get this job just because they have student loans.
Yeah. If
they didn't have the student loans, they would be a lot more lax. Like, wait, I could work if I had no student loans, I could work at fucking McDonald's and the sum of the money I get, it would equal what I get now.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I was a manager at McDonald's with no debt, my money that I would make there and the money that I make now after student loans would be equal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like it wouldn't inspire people to maybe become better than they are.
Yeah.
So and I mean, we've talked about this before. Is the idea behind struggle, man? Yeah. There's no way of there's no better way of finding out how much you are capable of and exactly who you are than struggle.
Yeah.
There's no better way.
Exactly. Yep.
In life. And if college debt brings that for you, then I mean, shit.
Yeah, it's just a weird like punch in the gut when you go from college, like free, just loving life, to oh shit, I got to get a job now, and I already owe money. Yeah. What the fuck? I already owe for what? For all that partying and shit I did? God damn it! I didn't know I was gonna have to pay this much.
Yeah, and that's So I will say, speaking from my personal experience, I don't think I would hope my kid doesn't have the same experience I did, because I had a shitty family dynamic. My dad really wasn't there for me. He actually is the reason I have so much student loan debt, and that's a whole nother story. But if I set my kid up with a good family structure, a good family environment, and he knows he has two parents that give a fuck about him, that care about him, will he drink? Yeah, but he'll be far more responsible. He'll be far more driven and understand what his path in life needs to be to get where he wants to. But when you're, especially as a young man, if you don't have that father figure in your life who's there to just keep you, like a dad in your early years in life is like you're bowling with the gutters up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where your dad is on the either side of you, to when you start going into that gutter, he pushes you back down the lanes.
For sure.
And when you don't, when you're 16 bowling with no gutters, it's like you're in the gutter every other bowl.
Yeah.
Every other motherfucking bowl. So it's a lot harder to navigate what the pitfalls of what college comes with.
Yeah, good advice is priceless, for sure.
Oh my God. So if I had a dad, I could be like, yo, I'm going through this. I need to do this. What do I do? If I had that person in my corner instructing me that way, I don't think I make half the decisions I make. Yeah. Now, am I placing all the blame at my father's feet? By no means, no. But I am acknowledging the fact that as a young man, having my dad in my life would have certainly helped a great deal.
For sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? So what I can hope for is, like, whether my kid goes to college or not, if I'm the best dad I could be, his prospects are going to be a lot better than if I'm not there.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So, and I was looking at going back to that same pro-con website that we were looking at. I looked at this other con of going to college, and it says many people succeed without college degrees. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, of the 30 projected fastest growing jobs between 2010 and 2020, 5 do not require a high school diploma, 9 require a high school diploma, 4 require an associate's degree, 6 require a bachelor's degree, and 6 require graduate degrees. The following successful people either never enrolled in college or never completed their college degrees: Richard Brownson, founder and chairman of the Virginia Group; Charles Culpepper, owner and CEO of Coca-Cola; Ellen DeGeneres, comedian, obviously; Michael Dell, founder of Dell; Walt Disney.
Wonder how many comedians have college degrees.
Probably not that many.
Yeah, I feel like that's a definitely one where you're like, nah, I don't need this education.
Yeah,
shit.
Why? Like, yeah, and like
and this debt
a couple
shit.
others. Yeah, a couple others: Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Wolfgang Puck, Steve Wozniak, and Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, yeah, and that's just goes to say and show you that it's not, you don't have to pay to necessarily, you don't have to have a formal education to learn. learning takes place wherever. Because, I mean, Bill Gates maybe didn't finish college, but the man was in college when he was like 10 years old, not necessarily enrolled, but he had one up the street from his house where he was able to mess with a computer like way before anyone his age was able to mess around with one. That was in Outliers.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was just
I
like,
remember that.
so, I mean, he might not have graduated, but it's like, yeah, I think he's had a full something worth a college education, probably way beyond, you know, what a college education is worth. So it's interesting because obviously all those people still learned a great deal without having to. Well, I'm sure some of them still had a lot of student loans, and maybe, hey, who knows? Maybe the student loans are what caused them to propel themselves to great heights. You never know.
Could be. And I would also be very curious. This is, you know, I'm not saying that this is everything, but I'm so huge on the family dynamic. I would be very interested to see what the family dynamic was for a lot of these successful people. Like, I know for Bill Gates, he had great parents who cultivated that curiosity within him, who took him to places so he could play with computers. Yeah. And that is what was able to propel him to the place he was.
The nurture part of it.
Yeah, I'm convinced that having a stable family dynamic and background is the greatest indicator to how successful you're going to be. Now, are there people who are going to buck the trend like LeBron James, who didn't have his dad in his life and got to the heights of where he is? Of course.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, you use that struggle as motivation, as we were talking about. So it's there's not one answer to any of it.
There's not one answer, man.
It's just, it's a case by case basis. It's person by person. I mean, it's college is for some people and it's not for others. Yeah. And it's a good topic though, for sure. It definitely is something you could talk about forever, really, because it's just, I mean, you could have people on both sides of it and then have your mind changed instantly by somebody bringing up, you know, oh, well, there's this point about how struggle is helpful. So.
Yeah. I guess if I had, the more that I'm sitting here thinking about this, the answer to the question whether you need a college degree or not is, if you don't know what the fuck you want to do, college can help you figure that out. If you do know what you want to do, college can get you in touch with the right people who have the most knowledge in the subject that you're pursuing. So by a default, kind of whether you know what you're going to do or you don't know what you're going to do, college is a good way of opening your eyes to what you may want to do or cultivating what you already want to do. But I think where whether, you know what, I just realized this, the whole question to whether college matters or not comes down to one thing: fucking the cost of it.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not necessarily, you're saying someone that if you don't know what you do, college can help you figure it out. It can, but that's an expensive ass way to figure out what you want to do.
It comes down to the cost.
Like, yeah, you need to take a year, figure out what you want to do, and then get into college for that thing. Like, I think we talked about before, like maybe community college is your best bet to start, because it's like, it's a better transition from high school. It's also somewhere where you can still live in your current environment, you know, at home, save money, get an actual real world job, and maybe move out on your own, but actually kind of take a multitude of classes, figure out what you're good at or what you want to focus on. And then after getting your associates, you go on to that 4-year.
So basically, after reading all this and talking, if you remove the insane cost for college, the question becomes a moot point. It's like, of course, college is worth it.
Well, because it's not. You said it's because the question is college worth it? Yeah, worth it. And it's like it all depends on if you can afford it or not. It's not if you can't afford it, because then it'll fuck you. And it's just like, I mean, but also I feel like community college are probably, I don't know any statistics, but way cheaper than a 4-year university or college.
Oh my God, it's not even close.
I mean, that just seems like the best route for anyone that's not certain of what they want to do. But at the same time, the pressure, obviously, of, oh, well, all your friends are going to 4-year colleges, or I have a significant other that's going to this college, or what have you. It's just like, well, this is, you got some decisions to make. It sucks that it's, I mean, because 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, definitely not in the position to make that life-altering decision, especially the fact that it's, I'm going to have a ton of debt, maybe $50,000 if you go to Georgetown. So it's like, it all, as you said, it's all you weigh it with whether it's worth it or not in terms of cost. It's all about the money.
Yeah, and which makes me think that
because I mean, can't you just learn shit on YouTube for free when you can? I mean, there's lectures and TED Talks and all that type of shit. Isn't that the exact same situation or setting that you have in college, where someone's preaching to a large group and you're trying to figure out what they're talking about? It's like shit. I mean, you got to pay $200,000 just to have a piece of paper with your name on it that says you know this shit, or you learn it online, prove that you know it somehow, and get into an industry that way. So it's, I mean, there's ways to go about it, but at the same time, that college one is going to set you back in the financial realm quite a bit. But as you said with your statistics, it's also going to put you ahead later on in terms of total money made and money made per year or even per week. Yeah,
which makes me think whether colleges are all, people who graduated college and are a lot of the people who end up running college. And I feel like there's not a conspiracy, but a common understanding that we want to make college for the elite. Because if we as a society understand that if we lowered the cost of college to make it affordable for people across the board that wouldn't straddle them with unreasonable debt for the rest of their life, that is a good. That is it's a good that almost no one can argue with. That if we open the doors for poor children to be able to go, I want to go to college and learn, and have them be able to do that without for the next 50 years trying to pay off the student loan, that would be a fucking unequivalent good. But
there's countries that have free education, right?
Yeah, like places like the Nordic countries, like Sweden, Norway, and stuff like that. Countries like that, they have free education. So then it makes you wonder, then why is it, knowing that free college would be a just across the board good, why is it that we go to great lengths to make it somewhat, unattainable for people of certain incomes? And to me, it just seems like it's purposely done that way. So, because if you're an elite, you can say, I went to Harvard. If you then grant everyone access, how do you separate yourself from that? How do you then maintain your elite status other than money? Because money is not enough, right? You got to have other things that can kind of signal your
virtue signal.
It's how you can virtue signal because money is too easy to be like, I got more money than you, I'm better than anyone.
There are a lot of people that are into where they were educated, like
most elite people are.
Whether just like putting it on the back of your car or just wearing the fucking t-shirts all the time or spouting off about how it's the best college. It's weird. It's always been weird to me because it's like, I feel like I went to a really good school in terms of education. They weren't like you're not going to cheer for their sports teams after the fact type thing. But like, why do some people get into that very like, this is me now forever. I am this college person. Like, this is my college. I'm going to root for them. They are the best. The people that end up giving money to the sports programs, what do they call it? Boosters. Things like that. It's like, why is there, it's probably the debt. It's because you have to think about it for so long. People get so obsessed with their alma maters. It's like, God damn, I've been paying these motherfuckers for 4 times the length I went there.
It's signaling. It's status signaling. That's all that is. Well, not all, but to me, it appears that
it's weird to me though. I look down on that.
I mean, as most regular people do, because one way of signaling your status without saying how much you're worth is by saying what school you went to.
Well, I guess by saying, "Hey, I'm educated."
But say, for example, it's got to be more than educated. It has to be where you went to. Because if
that's what I'm saying. That
says, I went
by
to
wearing
George
the
Mason,
shirt and all that, that's already telling someone this person's educated, so they're already getting that off. But they want their school to be the best.
George Mason, or I went to Harvard. You're going to look at one and say, oh, this person is probably wealthy. Where if the person that says go to George Mason, like, oh, you'll say you're educated, but you're probably of average income.
But then when
fairly consistent with that.
But then you could say that person who went to George Mason compared to someone who just has a high school degree, it's going to be the exact same thing, but then in a different way. They're going to be the elite compared to, in terms of if we're measuring by education and the status they think they have by going to college. I mean, It's just round
Dude,
and round.
I feel it all the time. I know people who went to Harvard and Yale and Princeton and universities like that. And, when you meet these people and they say, oh, yeah, I went to Harvard, you get embarrassed to say, yeah, I went to VCU. You almost don't want to say it and why is that? Because you understand it's a status signal.
Well, no,
it's not
I
about
don't
necessarily the education you got. It's like I was able to afford Harvard.
Well, Harvard isn't like one of the most expensive schools. That's not what the thing is about it. It's one of the hardest to get into. It's not about how much, but it's not all college is expensive. We just went over all that. That's not because as you're saying, like the reason Harvard resonates with people when someone says Harvard or Yale or Princeton, it's not because of how much it costs to go there. It's because of how hard it is to get in and stay in and graduate from there. Like it's probably what I would assume way harder because your competition to go there is so much higher in terms of intelligence. I would assume, but it's just like that's not what I think of, at least when I think of those schools. It's not money. It's not anyone who has enough money can go to Harvard. That's not how it works.
Why do a bunch of rich, dumb people graduate from Harvard?
Status. Their parents give the money. But what I'm saying is, all right, think of someone, no status, no parents, just has money.
For that person,
but
you got to make it through.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not just about the money because a lot of colleges are just about that. Like, write us a check, you're good to go. Show up to classes on Monday, you're good. We're good with that. Yeah. But they're not a lot of those other colleges. So that's why I think they have that elite status, not necessarily because of the cost. Because as we said, I mean, Georgetown is a good school, but it's not going to put that same like Harvard taste in your mouth when you hear it. Like no school really does.
But see, the cost comes in different ways. So there's one cost of, okay, you have elite parents who are donating to Harvard on a pretty consistent basis. And so you're pretty much, you're going to get into Harvard. But there's the other part where admission into Harvard isn't just about grades. Admission into places like Harvard and Yale and Princeton, you got to show I went and I volunteered over here. I gave back. I created it. You have to show so many extracurricular activities outside of school, and that is a status signal because only people who are able to afford that can do that. Poor kids don't have the luxury of doing all these extracurricular activities because they cannot afford to. So those things being requirements and prerequisites to getting into Harvard, though the cost may not show up in the admission, it shows up throughout somebody's lifespan in their ability to afford to get those prerequisites on their resume to get into Harvard. So it still comes down to like, and yes, Harvard is trying to do this whole thing about Harvard is always like, oh, we're off of merit, the smartest, the brightest, they've done the most in the world. And now that Asian kids are crushing the prerequisites to get into Harvard, now they're changing because Asians are dominating and the people outside of the Asian community, like white people who may not necessarily have the same merit and talent to get into Harvard, they're starting to lose their spots in Harvard. Those spots that they could just pay for.
Yeah, but look, most of the spots at Harvard have most people that go to Harvard get grants and scholarships. That's just how it works. It costs $70,000 a year to go there. The average price of tuition and fees in 2019 was $14,000 to go to Harvard.
14 grand.
That's it.
Oh,
$14,000 after grants and scholarships. That's the average price that people pay to go to Harvard.
Oh, yeah.
You want to know what their graduation rate is?
What?
98%.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's the difference. It's not like we have a bunch of smart people. It's like they finish this shit and go on. Like, I mean, and I found a list of like all the highest ones, but I mean, all the people all the military universities are on there. All of them. Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Everyone you would think of is on there. Then you got Georgetown as number 2, though.
Wow.
91% of people that go to Georgetown graduate from there.
Sheesh, man.
That's wild. But I think that has a lot to do with it, especially not that we would know that off the top of our head, but I think that's how they get to that level of prestige. Like, if people
exclusivity.
Well, yes, but at the same time, it's not just that. It's going to be exclusive over people that aren't going to college at all, yes. But a college that has people going to it and graduating at a super high rate in terms of their getting an education and then leaving with a degree, those colleges are going to be that elite in terms of those are the ones I think we're going to think of above the rest. Not necessarily that we know that, but that's why they get to that level, because they churn out individuals that are fucking making money or not, but they're they're churning them out either way. And I guess that's how they get the status. The status then goes into, okay, well, we have to limit the number of people that come here because so many fucking people want to go here now. And then it turns into, okay, this is a very exclusive club you can't get into because you're not Asian or whatever for Harvard. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously there's different reasons that they get to that level. But I really think it comes down to not necessarily the cost, but who graduates, who actually finishes and goes to these schools. Most expensive school. Ooh,
there's certainly no arguing that
Harvey Mudd.
What's that? That's a school?
Yeah. It's the most expensive college in the U.S. It's called Harvey Mudd.
Why? What kind of school is it?
Claremont, California. It's a small school of just 889 students. The school is known for its strong science, engineering, and mathematics. So that's what they specialize in. It costs $80,000 to go there. So Jesus. Harvard's up there in terms of one of the most expensive schools in the U.S. at least. So definitely.
Yeah.
But it's weird because, you say, I don't know. I mean, I feel like they would be more expensive than that. I was thinking there'd be $100,000 one.
I mean, is that including room and board?
I don't know. Wait.
Is that just?
No, I don't. It doesn't say.
Because I'd be interested to see if that's just,
$58,000 for tuition, $10,000 for a double dorm room, $8,000 for 16 meals per week, $1,400 in personal expenses, and $800 for books and supplies. That's not going to cover books. And $300 to cover student body fee. What the fuck is that for?
Who knows? And that's what brings it to the 70,000?
Harvey Mudd. 79,000, almost 80.
Wow.
79,539. But it does say average household income for this school is $145,000.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Let's say reports that median family income of a student at Harvey Mudd is $145,000, and 68% come from the highest earning 20% of American households. That's a weird sentence.
Yeah, I mean that still sounds right though.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they are. Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense though that the smartest colleges are going to be the most expensive ones because they have the biggest. I don't know what is the word I'm trying to look for. They have the best reputation of any of the other colleges, so they're capitalizing on their product, I guess, in the same way that any other person who has the best of the best charges the most for their product,
Right. Yeah, but to me, institutions like educational institutions, it should go in the opposite direction because for example, a place like Harvard. Let me actually, what is Harvard's endowment?
What is that endowment?
$40.9 billion is Harvard's endowment.
That's a lot of money. What does that mean?
Dude.
What is endowment? I don't know what that means.
All right, let's see. It's the money basically that's given to Harvard.
By the government?
No, by their alumni.
Oh my God, that just means they're rich as fuck. University of Chicago is the number 2 most expensive school in the country.
Who?
University of Chicago.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty good school.
That's a
very
grand.
good school.
I've never heard of it. Scripps College. What the fuck is that?
So Harvard's endowment is made up of more than 13,000 individual funds invested as a single entity and is overseen by Harvard Management Company. Yep. So and this is the argument I was going to make, but I'm going to go ahead and read it because it's already saying it. So, with such a large endowment at the school's fingertips, some have suggested that the school should use more of the fund to entirely eliminate tuition at the prestigious Ivy League school, while others argue that Harvard's funds could be better used by recruiting and educating more low-income students rather than giving free education to their already relatively well-off.
Yeah, I didn't like that first idea. It's like, wait a second, make it free for the rich kids to go to college? I don't understand.
Yeah.
But just looking at this, Harvard's not even in the top 20 most expensive colleges in the United States.
Harvard's not?
No. Georgetown's more expensive, it says. That 2015 statistic, way wrong. It's over 70 to go to Georgetown, not 50.
Wow.
I mean, you have the one I recognize at the top is Columbia, is the third most expensive in the United States.
Okay.
But still, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, and schools like that, like I get it. The more prestigious you are, you can act like a business and charge people more to attend your university. But my whole thing is that universities should be acting the opposite way of what a business would be acting like. The more money you have, the more money you should be using to educate a wider variety of students. And I know they're doing that in some capacity, but they certainly have the funds and the resources to educate many, many, many more people at a very high level. And I don't understand what they're just operating like a business that's just trying to make more money. And I'm like, you're an educational institution.
Yeah.
That should be the opposite of what you're trying to do. Do you know, because of the coronavirus epidemic, that Harvard, with an endowment of almost $50 billion, is laying people off, like their cafeteria workers, their janitors, some teachers who are not tenured.
Damn.
How do you, with a $40.9 billion endowment, lay people off in good faith, man? How can you do that?
I don't know.
That seems asinine, man.
You brought up Corona again.
But like, to make a point though, like,
yeah.
I don't see how, like, this institution that claims to be so left leaning, all about the poor working man, all about the social class, can turn around. Yeah, so I just don't get that part. Again, I understand that there's nuances that I'm not appreciating.
Yeah, I don't understand it, so I can't comment.
But from a bird's eye view, I mean, $40.9 million, and you're telling me you can't keep people hired, you can't make tuition more affordable. But again, getting back to what you said, that whole idea of how prestigious and exclusive it is exactly what keeps them from doing what they rightfully should. To maintain that exclusivity, you gotta say, nah, we're not going to use that money to educate more people, because the more people we educate,
what does that money go to?
Are able to attend our institution, the less prestigious it gets, the less recognition we get, then the less money we will get in the long run. So
I mean, and I would assume are they private? Is Harvard private?
I'm not sure.
But so what is it? I don't even know the difference between a public and private school anyway.
I don't know either. So let's see.
Private university in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Right.
But also, what the fuck is the difference between a public and a private university? Oh, wait, I know. So public gets money from the government then?
Yes.
Okay, so that means that Harvard is completely funded by the people that went there.
Let's see.
Is that what private means?
Let's look it up.
Or by, whoever started it, I guess. Yeah, it's how they're funded. Yep.
The defining difference between public and private institutions is how they are funded. Public schools are funded mainly by state government.
So straight up, the people that went there
supported primarily by their own endowment funds and student tuition fees.
My opinion is they can do whatever they fucking want. Then,
that's true.
If you're private, do whatever you want. If you're public, you can't. That's damn. Yeah. I mean, because you're using tax money. I mean, it's just like, if you're using tax money, you got to do whatever the fuck people want you to do when they vote on it. If you're doing private shit, they could be murdering little baby koalas in their fucking science classes, and no one can say shit. Well, no, that's still illegal, I guess. But I mean, they can do whatever they want, and it's
with their money. Yeah,
that's a lot of money. But that also means that their graduates have obviously been. Obviously, we don't have to say that, but they've been extremely successful. So they're able to get $40 billion back to them.
Okay, so here's a I have a breakdown of Harmon's endowment and how it's currently spent. So in the school's 2018-2019 financial report, Harvard stressed that the endowment does not give the school full financial freedom. There's a quote here. It does not say by who, but it says there's a common misconception that endowments, including Harvard's, can be accessed like bank accounts used for anything at any time as long as funds available. In reality, Harvard's flexibility in spending from the endowment is limited by the fact that it is designed to last forever, which is crucial for an institution intended to serve generations of students and pursue research on big questions that cannot be answered in one lifetime.
This says the fund, Harvard's endowment is comprised of more than 13,000 separate endowments aggregated over the past 350 years. The fund distributed $1.9 billion to the university in 2019. So last year they only got $1.9 billion of the 40. The 40. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it says Harvard Management Company has overseen the university's endowment since 1974. About 33% of the assets were allocated to hedge funds, which contribute a 5.5% return. So they invest 33% of all the endowment that comes in order to make it last, I guess, forever. Yes. Public equities accounted for 26% and contributed to private equity. Okay, so they buy up property, all that different stuff. But they have the largest endowment in the world, this says.
Oh, for sure.
Harvard. And University of Texas has the second largest. That's wild to me. That's weird. Dude, they got some fucking sports fans there. The football fans, easily. Yale's got 30 billion, Stanford's got 30 billion, Princeton's got 25. I mean, so basically the highest schools have that, or, in terms of like, other than University of Texas, the places where you think the smartest people go to school is who has the largest endowment. But not all that money is, for what we think it's for. So, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, no, that's
Did you know?
I was gonna make a joke that is funny but has a lot of truth to it. I was gonna say, man, this is why I don't like reading up on stuff, because it makes me change my mind, and it's like, and that's the whole point. And I realize
facts, facts are hard to use.
And it makes me realize why ignorant people don't read. It's not that they can't retain the information. Yeah. It's not that they
don't want to be proven wrong.
They don't want to. Yeah. They don't want to read it. I always used to think they have an inability. It's like, no, they don't want to read the other side.
My mind's good with believing this, and you're going to make me believe something else. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's just that joke kind of put it into perspective for me. I'm like, oh, this is how a lot of people must feel when they believe so adamantly about something, and you say, hey, here's this good book that may change your mind. This may really change my mind. Nope, don't want to read it because I want to stay steeped in whatever I want to believe. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's funny. And I truly felt that way for like a half a second. I'm like, and if I love reading and I love having my mind changed and I love different perspectives, if even in a moment I could be like, man, this reading bullshit always makes you change your fucking mind. Yeah, if I feel like that and I'm fucking around, bro, like how do people actually feel this way?
Yeah, because it happens all the time. You're like, I know this is true, and then you look it up. Even when you're not talking to someone, when you're just alone, you look up something, you're like, oh fuck, I was completely wrong about that. Oh damn! How do I feel about this now that I found out that I'm wrong? Like, it's just so weird. Especially when you're by yourself and that happens. You're like, oh, I know this, but let me check. Let me just Google it. Let me check. I
was so wrong.
Way off. I'm stupid. Yeah. But now you're smarter for it. I mean, getting your information.
Man.
Yeah. So that's our discussion on is college worth it? We didn't come to an answer. But
I feel like if you here's a belief I have. Here's a true belief. I don't have many beliefs because they get dispelled every other week when I think I'm right about something. One belief that I currently hold right now is that every topic, if you spend enough time thinking about it and reading about it, you can't reach a conclusion.
Yeah, maybe so.
I think that's true for almost every single topic that exists in the world.
Yeah, it depends on how open you can make your mind, I guess. Because it's all.
So, like, for example, like people like you and I think any topic that we presented, if we talked about it enough, just because of how we personally think. I think we're two pretty open-minded individuals. We can talk about pretty much any subject, and we would have to say, "Oh yeah, it's in the middle."
Yeah,
you would have to.
Well, only if you have information at your fingertips, though, too.
Yeah, true.
It's hard to pull that out of your head, new ideas when you don't have new information to go off of.
Yes, and also, you know what makes this one, and I'll add a caveat. It's especially so with ideas you're not ideological about.
Yeah.
So take for example, like something like abortion, we could reach a conclusion just because we have ideologies based on that. But if abortion wasn't something that people felt like they think they know what's right and what's wrong, if they were able to approach it objectively, you'd come in the middle on that as well. But people just have such strong beliefs about that that yet they can't.
Yeah,
but
hard. That's one of the hardest ones right there.
I know.
Yeah,
I know. That's why I brought
religion,
it up.
Politics, all that stuff. It's all.
Yes.
It's all. You could talk about it so you're blue in the face. It just doesn't. It doesn't do anything, and it never will. I don't think unless there's some cold hard facts that come out, and they got to be out for like 10 years because people don't believe facts right at the beginning. So
even dude, with all the facts we have, people still don't believe half the shit.
I mean, I just told you that smoking cigarettes might help you. So you don't know. Anthony Fauci's on the TV just saying, "Don't do that, don't do that," and now he's like, "Fuck, you might have." He's just out there just chain smoking out, like, "Fuck, I don't know. It might help. It might help."
I'm about to order a Juul right now, bro.
It might help, dude. Oh damn, I don't know why that reminded me of that. You said Juul, but have you seen, changing gears? Been watching a lot of movies and content and shit, obviously, since this happened. But it wasn't nominated for an Oscar, so that's how you know it might actually be good. But Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler and Kevin Garnett. Dude, one, Kevin Garnett can act his ass off. Two, Adam Sandler has a good movie finally. Like, he's not doing ridiculous shit.
Really good.
Dude, we watched it last night, and it is a panic attack in a movie. Like, if you've ever bet on a team or just followed a team and wanted them to win, it's that the whole fucking time. Like an important game and you're nervous the whole fucking time. We had to pause it, and I was just like, I'm not feeling good. It's like, and I've had problems with panic attacks, and I was told Lydia at one point, I was like, it's feeling a little weird right now. I'm rocking. Like, I don't know. I need to stand up. For this. Dude, because you're right there with him when he's betting, because it's all about a guy that just has, he's just gambling. He gambles. But all the different nuances of it, and it's all in New York. And Lakeith Stanfield, who's Darius in Atlanta. By the way, he's in every fucking movie now and show. Yeah. Like, he's just all over the place. But yeah, he's in it as well. But yeah, amazing movie. And there's a whole thing back earlier in the year where it didn't get nominated for anything. No anything, no Oscars whatsoever. And so it deserves to be up there for sure. It's a great movie.
Dude, I've heard many things about it, and I was actually about to start watching it.
It's just a super original story, too. And maybe it's true. I haven't even looked it up, but just, I would think that whoever came up with this story is like, how the fuck did this come about? Yeah. That's how I felt about it.
And I'm sure it adds to the fact that it's a good movie and it's done by a guy who's not considered to do good movies and serious movies. So I think that probably adds a little bit to the whole, like,
and there was sports in it, which made me think of better times when we had sports.
When we had sports.
I was watching Kevin Garnett, and it takes place in 2012. That's the movie. So it's 2012 Kevin Garnett, like 35 right at the end of his career, and all about that. But just seeing, like, it's actually, maybe that's how it came about. It's all about one playoff series between the Sixers and the Celtics. Weirdly enough, now that I think back to it, like, that's what he bets on or whatever in a playoff series from 2012, and it's like maybe they had a connection to that or something. But I just thought I'd share. It was a really good movie. I was surprised how good it was, really.
Yeah, man, we pretty much do dinner in a movie because I live with two other people. We do dinner in a movie and every night, man.
Yeah,
so, like,
it's good. I like it. I'm marking a shit ton of stuff off my list. I actually watched.
Oh my god, man!
Shit,
have you watched Night of on HBO?
Night of?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, back when it came out.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I had a panic attack during that too. Have you finished it?
I just finished it.
I was gonna say, dude, man. I don't even remember who did it. Like the whole time, I don't even remember who did it. Yeah, it's just like the whole time. Intense. That guy who I don't know his name, but the main guy that gets accused of the murder or whatever, he's so good in it. He's so good. He's been in a bunch of other stuff too. Bro. But what do we watch? Have you seen Snowpiercer? No. Okay, so this is Ryan
Reynolds?
No, not Ryan Reynolds. It's Captain America. Is that a Ryan? He might be a Ryan too.
Nah, that's Ethan Hunt.
Nope, wrong. That's wrong.
I just thought of the whitest name I could think of.
Who is Captain America? Chris Evans. That's the name. Still Chris very Evans. White, but yeah,
might as well have been Ethan Hunt.
Dude. Watch it. Like they're putting out a sequel, aren't they? Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. But it's brutal, and it took place like he was making Captain America while he was making this movie as well. It came out in 2015, so like he was in full Avengers mode. And this is one of the most brutal movies you will ever watch in your life. It literally takes place after the Earth is frozen over because we tried to stop global warming by repairing our atmosphere with this shit, and it froze the whole Earth. So the whole movie is them on a train circling the whole Earth, and it's all the last people because if you go outside, you freeze. And it's about classism. So it's all about how the low-level people stay in the back, the high-level people stay in the front. They do not mix, and it's if they need somebody for entertainment, they'll pull from the back to the front. It's crazy how this movie goes. Fantastic. And it's on Netflix, dude. It's an amazing movie. I've watched two really good movies about trains recently. I don't know why, but there's also a zombie movie called Train to
Busan.
Have you seen it?
Of course I've seen that
dude,
shit.
I had never watched it. It's always been on my list, but it's something with subtitles. It's always like, all right, I got to get myself psyched up to read this whole movie. And because like I actually watch stuff with subtitles on most of the time, but when it's in a different language, I have to watch. I can't look away ever. But dude, that was a wild fucking movie.
It's a great fucking movie.
Wild. And the reason we kind of finally watched it was they are making a sequel to that comes out later this year.
Oh, that's
Train to Busan, yeah. So
but
we've been all over the place watching train movies and shit. Apparently, so
dude, you need you know what just got released on Netflix that is an immediate watch. Fun with Dick and Jane, bro.
Oh, great movie. I actually have it on old school DVD.
Dude, it is nice.
Such a funny movie.
Love that movie,
it is. It's good.
Jim Carrey at his absolute top of his game, bro.
Yeah, he was really good. It's weird that he's in random stuff now that I don't even know about. Like, it's not advertised. Like, he just went away from the spotlight forever.
Yeah.
And it's great. I mean, he probably loves
like he's living a pretty dope life. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. He's doing like a lot of eccentric shit. I forgot
that was like one of his last like this is Jim Carrey being crazy movies though.
Yeah,
like Liar Liar, Dumb and Dumber type shit, like where he's all over the place. But yeah, that's a good one. Fun with Dick and Jane where they repossess their fucking lawn because they can't pay for it. They're rolling that shit back up. And she's like, no, don't take that.
Your check go bouncy bounce.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, so good.
Shit, dude. Man. Yeah, man.
They're actually, just because it made me, I was impressed by this movie. And you may have seen it already. Extraction on Netflix.
I started watching it. I can't watch Netflix produce movies. It's something about the way it's shot. It just seems too fake in terms of like it's like if you were watching a movie and it was like and then this happens. I feel like somebody's saying that every time they cut to a scene.
Well, just seems like but Netflix just cheesy. Netflix just puts it out. They don't have anything to do with who cuts the movie and produces like actually edits it together. The reason it's so cool is because the director of this movie has never directed a movie in his life. This is his first movie. He gets a huge budget Netflix action film with Chris Hemsworth as his first fucking film because he has done stunts. He's a stunt man. And he did stunts on every Avengers film, every gunfight movie you could fucking think of. He has like 50 stunt credits and one director credit. And it's this movie that was number one on Netflix for like 2 straight weeks. And dude, it is some of the best. I don't know how far you got into it, but it's some of the best shooting gunplay in a movie I've ever seen. And there's a scene that's one shot for 12 minutes, I think. It's one shot of a car chase, a gun battle, a knife fight, everything. And you got to get through it if you can. I mean, I don't think it's story wise not the best movie. He's going after a kid, but action wise, it's one of the better action movies I've seen, just based on just the effects and the fighting and all that stuff. Basically, I felt like I was playing Call of Duty while I watched it.
All right, so that's where we differ. I can't watch action movies just for the sake of good action. The story has to be good.
Well, it was. I mean, I'm not saying the story was bad, but it's secondary to he shoots 50 dudes. Just like John Wick. Just like John Wick.
Yeah, no.
It's just like John Wick.
So John Wick, but even John Wick.
Have you ever seen an Indian drug dealer movie? I've never seen that before, and I thought that was interesting in this movie.
No, I haven't, but but I started watching it, and the concept is just too simple for me. Oh, my kid got kidnapped by a rival gang. Go get somebody, a hero, rescue him, and he shoot 50 people on the way.
It happens. It happens. Those things happen, and that's a real life thing.
No, yeah.
That's a real life thing. I'm pretty sure that's how Chris Hemsworth got into acting. Pretty sure they were like, "Hey, I heard you killed 50 dudes in one day."
Yeah. It's just something about those that it just doesn't do it for me, man.
I loved it because every scene I could pick out a gun that I've used in the new Call of Duty, which I play all the time. So I was like, I know that one. That's the M4A1 right there. It's got 5.56 hollow point rounds.
See, I'm a movie purist. I know I sound so like Toe Time.
Oh shit! No, I just. I just hit the holy shit. I just hit the power button on my whole power strip and everything cut off at once. I hit it with my toe. I was messing. God damn.
Oh shit.
Hold on, is this still recording? Oh, there's just a big blank spot right there where it cuts out. But yeah, it's I'll get back in here.
Oh man.
Everything just went black and I was like, I can't even hear right what happened. Yeah.
So we got everything, but like the last couple minutes.
You said you are no. We got everything. It was just like 5 seconds right there. You said you were a movie purist, and then it cut out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's still recording right now. So I never stopped it. It just as soon as I flipped the switch back on, everything came back on and it's working again. So it's like all the lines are moving. So I guess it's getting something.
Yeah. So no, I was gonna say I'm a movie purist in the sense that I understand the transition now is to just give me a lot of really cool action scenes and a lot of really cool graphics and effects because we have that capability now. The acting or the story doesn't have to be that good. People just want that eye porn. And for me, I still need good acting and I need like a nice story in order for a movie to appeal to me. If you just
Chris Hemsworth, good actor. Good story, good action. It was practical effects too. It wasn't. I mean, it was real explosions and all that shit. It wasn't a bunch of CGI. It looked good.
The part I saw, I did not enjoy.
Okay,
but I honestly, after this, I don't have shit to do. I'm gonna go get some homemade lasagna that my girl made, and I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna watch the rest of this movie.
It's not a bad one to watch.
If you spoil my meal because I got to eat this meal while watching this shitty ass movie, I'm gonna be upset.
You're gonna like the relationship he has with the little boy. You're gonna like it. He also. There's a lot of child soldiers.
Add more context to a sentence like that.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of child soldiers in the movie, and I found the scene where he slapped a bunch of them because he didn't want to actually hurt them very touching. But he fucks them up, but in like an open hand, I'm your dad kind of way, and you're 12 with an AK-47 type thing. It was wild. But I just found the fact that
where I turned it off is when they're in the car and they're backing up. That's where I cut the movie off.
What? That's the start of the 12-minute scene. That's what got me hooked on the movie. Start right back up there and watch it.
All right.
But the whole reason I brought it up is like, how do you go from never directing a movie in your life to direct? Like, if you look up the guy on IMDb that directed it, he only has stunt credits in this movie. And like, how did you pitch this to Netflix to get this Thor in your fucking movie? The first thing Thor does after Thor is this.
Yeah.
And you're not even I just don't get it. They probably met on the set of Avengers and they're like,
I was gonna say,
bro, let's do an action movie.
he probably was really whatever during his stunt job or jobs.
Oh, he's actually in the movie. Fuck. I just realized he's one of his teammates of the mercenaries in the movie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The director or whatever.
Okay, so like to me, what that sounds like, if you go from that type of gig to getting this type of gig, you just know somebody. Him and Liam Hemsworth are probably really tight, and then
Chris Hemsworth. Thank you.
Liam, it's fucking Liam Neeson and Chris.
Liam is the B brother. I feel like he's the one that does the other shit. Yeah. He's not Thor.
Yes. So, but like, if you go, I got this idea for a movie. Chris is my boy, and he's already signed on. You can walk into any director's office with that, or any producer's office with that, and I feel like they'll be on board. If you have one of the biggest fucking actors in the world already signed up, and all you have to do is buy in.
$65 million for the budget. You know, Jesus most Christ. Of that went to Chris Hemsworth. Like 50% of that.
Here's $60 million, and then we're gonna figure out
for $5 million. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, yeah. I was just curious because, like, it's just interesting that happened because I tend to like. Any movie we watch, I'm looking up, all right, who's this director? What else has he done? If I liked it, who's this actor? I've never seen him before. He's good in this, all that. And I looked this up. I was like, what the fuck? How is that possible? But hey, I don't know if you go by Rotten Tomatoes, if you go by IMDb, if you go by Metacritic. I don't know your site of choice.
I'm a Rotten Tomato guy, and I only go by audience score. I don't go by the critics.
Oh, actually, I don't understand the difference. The one on the left is critics.
The left is critics, and the right
the
with
tomato
the
meter audience. Okay, so it got higher with audience than critics. It got a 70% on audience and 67 on. I mean, it's
all right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not one of my.
It just says spectacular stunt work, and I was just like, dude, when he has this knife fight with the dude, I felt it. I felt it in my chest. I just did.
Now that you're mentioning it,
I'm gonna just say, I gotta tell you one part. It's not story related. There is a part where he reloads his gun on a dude who's fallen down on the ground, or he's tripped up or knocked down or whatever. He doesn't have any bullets left. He puts the gun to him, pulls the trigger, nothing happens. He unloaded it while still holding the gun down on top of the guy. Like, barrel to the guy's chest. And the guy's trying to get up and he can't, and he's just holding it down. He fucking puts the magazine back in, cocks it, and then just lights up. And it was just like, I've never seen that before. It was wild. You're
hyping this thing up. I'm gonna watch it.
You're making me remember parts now. I was hyped during it.
I'm gonna give it a good old college try. But if I got that far and still didn't get through it, but we'll see.
It was also interesting that he. Because I feel like he's Australian, but he always has a regular, like, American accent, but he's actually Australian in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I've just been watching a lot of content, so I thought I'd share.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at some point shitty stuff starts looking pretty good. So
I don't know, man. It's not that. It's not that because I pick and choose my movies. I'm not watch all the movies on Netflix kind of person.
No, I get it.
I'll watch a few.
I'll give it a shot.
And Uncut Gems, also a good one.
That's a guarantee. I'm definitely going to watch
for
that.
Sure.
I've
Garnett has a future in acting if he can get out of just playing himself in a movie. But yeah, he was decent. One of the final scenes, I was like, God damn, this man.
TV timeout. Is it really acting if you're playing yourself?
I don't know. I was thinking that too. But I mean, he has to still know lines and say them, or maybe it was ad lib because I feel like that's most natural. But. Yeah, I don't know. He was definitely acting because he was acting like he could still play basketball in the NBA, and he cannot. So,
my man, by the end of his career, was just tiptoeing off the ground, couldn't even jump, bro.
Yeah, I had no idea how much he was part of the main storyline of the movie, and he's a big part of it.
Yeah, so. I had no idea either. All right, man, I'll check it out, bro.
All right, man. Well, that's episode 33, I think, for now, and we'll record again here soon. But thanks
also, people out there, watch The Last Dance if you haven't.
Watch The Last Dance. I've only seen the first 2 episodes, so I got to watch the rest.
It's so good.
Yeah,
so good.
Yep. Well, thank you for joining us for episode 33, and we are out.
Yeah.